Hello and welcome, viewers and subscribers of AVG News. My name is Mxolisi, the son of Ncube, and today I want to talk to ZEP holders who are going for submissions for their waiver applications at VFS. Uh, this being necessitated by the fact that we have received a number of complaints, people saying that they've tried to go to submit, but they've been turned away by VFS officials for failure to produce certain documents. So they want to know exactly how they can avoid this. And when they go back to submit, they need to know what it is that they should carry. So I will explain this to you so that you, when you go for your submissions, especially for those who haven't yet submitted and those who are going to submit for their permit, do not get to be turned back. So I would like you to really pay attention to this because it is very costly for you to travel all the way to the nearest VFS center where you booked your appointment only to be turned back and be given another date or to be charged some amount by people there, because there are many who have said that they've been charged some 700 rands to get, in order for them to get some documents at VFS. Outside VFS, there are a number of touts who are busy charging people a hell lot of money for certain documents that they may not have. So please pay attention to this. But before I go ahead, I would like to request you to subscribe to this channel, to like this video and share it. So for those who are going to submit for their waiver applications, you will note that on the very day that you applied for your waiver, you were given two documents, or you downloaded two documents. The first one being the bank payment receipt, the second one being a checklist of documents for you that you need to go and submit. And very few people have taken the extra step of downloading the checklist and reading what is in there so that they prepare the correct documents. Even after you've booked an appointment, you download the appointment form, and then there is a zip folder which contains your online application form. It also contains your bank payment proof. It also contains, again, the checklist of documents that you need to produce. And many of the applicants that we have dealt with have ignored, after getting the appointment, they only download the appointment form, and they've ignored the zip folder. This is the most important one. So every document that you are given or that you are sent after applying, it's a must that you must open it and print it, because it's sent to you for a purpose. It's not just an ornament. It's sent to you so that you can download, print it, and submit it at VFS. So many people have been sent these documents via, especially those that get applied for from different locations from where they are. When they are sent these documents via WhatsApp, they don't want to open the zip folder, or they've got phones which cannot open it, because a number of phones cannot open the zip folder. You need to get someone who can open that for you, or you go to the nearest internet cafe and have this zip folder opened for you, download it and print it. So inside the zip folder, there are three documents, as I've said. There is the VAF, which is the visa application form. This form has got all your details. And on the checklist is written as number one. You duly completed online form. Handwritten forms will not be accepted by the Department of Home Affairs. That is on the checklist. So I'll go through the checklist and then revisit again what I've already advised you. So what you need to produce is, under the checklist, in the checklist under waivers, you will find that there is 6 documents that you should produce. The first one being the duly completed online form. This is the one that you get inside the zip folder. Then after you book, You will download it. It will be inside that zip folder. Then you need to have a letter signed by the employer. This one again is the main reason why some people have been sent back. This letter must cite the requirements to be waived and a comprehensive motivation for each requirement. For example, you want to have regulation 16 subsection 1 subsection C waived. You need to write that regulation 16 subsection 1 subsection C, and then this subsection carries something. Is in the Immigration Act of South Africa. It carries the requirements, so you have to state if this requirement you don't meet, then mention the subsection and also motivate for why you would want to have this one set aside. So you must be very clear on the letter of motivation or the letter from employer citing regulations to be waived. You have to be very clear there. You don't just write and say, we request that you give so and so a waiver because they work for us, blah, blah, blah. Then you take it there. It must be clear that you want subsection, you want this regulation waived, then give a comprehensive motivation that you want it waived for reasons like this, that, and that. It cannot just be a letter. So if your letter of motivation or your waiver letter, that's what the VFS people call it, they say they want a waiver letter. If it doesn't carry any regulations that need to be waived, it means that you don't have it. And when you get there, they're going to turn you back. Or they will refer you to these guys, these touts who are outside, and they'll charge you $700 for it. So make sure that you have this one clearly written. Then in the checklist, you must have a copy of your CV. It's just a normal CV, which in current employment must have the company that is employing you at this particular moment, or the name of the person who is employing you at that particular moment. You also need, as number 4, a copy of your passport and all temporary residence visas, that is the DZP, the ZSP, and the ZEP, photocopied, and your passport photocopied, not certified. Don't certify anything. Number 5, you need a copy of the employment contract signed by both the employer and the employee. So you should have a contract prepared for you. Then it should state the terms of your working with this particular person. It should also have your name. It should have your address, the address where you are supposed to work, and it must be signed by your employer in the section where it says employer, and by you in the section where it says employee. It can have a witness, but it's not as a necessity. But it must be a contract, and it must be clearly written that it's a contract. The contract must be typed. Only the signatures must be written by pen. The rest of the stuff must be typed, and then it must be submitted. So as number 6, you need a background on the company or institution for record purposes. So for those who are working for companies, this document must have maybe a paragraph or 2 stating that AVG News is an African news channel based in Johannesburg. It was registered in South Africa as a company officially in 2021 and has been operational since then. Its purpose is to meet the content needs of Africans all over the globe. Then it must be on a letterhead. This one must be on a letterhead. If you are working as a domestic worker or a gardener, or you are working for an individual. This individual, instead of background of company, must write a letter confirming your employment. They must write a letter confirming your employment, and they must put their address, their name, and their contact numbers, and then give you a photocopy of their ID. They must write you a letter confirming your employment. They must also state what you are doing there, when they employed you, and give you a copy of their identity document. Then you submit this in place of the background of the company. So these are the 6 documents that you must have. Make sure you have all of them. And then on top of this, you must carry your letter of appointment. That is the appointment letter that you download after you have booked your appointment. Now, there are others who are asking if they must sign the appointment letter, if they must sign the visa application form. Don't sign those until you get to VFS. And there are only 2 documents which need to be signed as you go to VFS or before you go to VFS. The letter from employer citing requirements to be waived must be signed by the employer. The employer must put their name at the bottom, or your manager or your immediate boss for those who are working for companies. And then they must sign underneath. But everything else must be typed. Then the contract, it also must be signed by both the employer and the employee. And now, to avoid being turned back, for those who applied for themselves, make sure you go through that checklist and tick each of the requirements that, okay, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this, I've got this, but not that your letter from employer must state the regulations to be waived. They are very particular about that one. Then go to the person that assisted you. If you didn't do it on your own, go to the person that assisted you and make sure with them, together with them, you go through all these documents that you have before you go and submit. You must go to them or even take some photos and send to them so that they guide you or advise you as to whether you have all the documents. Then, even if you are a domestic worker or a gardener, you also need a contract. Everybody who goes to VFS must have a contract. It doesn't matter whether you're applying for a business permit, a business waiver, because even if you're a director, you need to have a contract between the company and yourself. Even if it's your company, you need to be, because you are employed as a director by this company. So you must have a contract. The VFS people are very particular about this. If you don't have it, they will turn you back. I hope everybody understands this and you are going to take heed. We have a response from Apple Perley. Thanks, leadership. Okay, it's our pleasure. So I hope that we have set it clear. But if you have any questions, don't hesitate to write them down under the comment section, on the comment section underneath this video, and we'll respond to it. But also, we have a Facebook page, AVG News. You can also go there and ask your questions on the timeline or via inbox. Thank you very much. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel, like this video, and share it.